We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, 1000 KKIM, and now we're in Sally Pipes' area, up in the Bay Area, on KK, let's see, what is it again? It is on the Internet, on the Richmond, Oakland, and San Francisco Bay Area. Our guest for the full hour is Sally Pipes, the president of the Pacific Research Institute and the author of The Truth About Obamacare.
You know, Sally, one of the comments, as you know, the president made was, if you like your plan, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep him or her, whatever that is. And and you had to have what they called a grandfathered plan. Now, I'm in the healthcare business, and what I did with all of my large groups, I made them all grandfathered plans with as many carriers as I could that would continue grandfathered plans. And now I'm seeing the renewals coming in as of January 1st, and those grandfathered plans are getting extremely low rate increases, while those that have to move to an exchange plan or an Obamacare plan are being killed. They're getting rates are atrociously high, and benefits are a lot less than what they had before.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, at Pacific Research Institute, we're in the small group market, and we did the early renewal December 1st, so that we could keep the plan that we had and have very low increases. But what is going to happen to Pacific Research, you know, next October, when we get, you know, our renewal, I'm sure we're going to, if we can even get a renewal, we may be forced into the shop exchange. But regardless, I think we'll see tremendous increases. And, you know, this is all to do with the fact that, you know, the issue of the president saying, you know, the average family will see their insurance plan coverage premium go down by $2,500, and of course we know the average family is seeing their coverage premium increase by $3,000. So, you know, there's going to be a whole lot of awakening there too, because insurance is going to be a lot more expensive than people ever anticipated.
You know, the only small groups that I believe should even consider going into the shop exchange would be those that have less than 10 employees, because over 10 employees, there's really no tax benefit of any consequence. I don't know if you were aware of that.
I wasn't, but you know, we're probably right at that mark, PRI. Where I don't know whether we're 10, 9 or 10. So it just, you know, it depends. But I mean, because of my work, you know, against the government takeover of healthcare. I mean, I want the market to work, not government to be in charge of my healthcare. You know, it's very worrying. And I don't know if you were following this, but just the day before Thanksgiving, the administration and the president were saying to the American people, well, you should be discussing, you know, Obamacare at your Thanksgiving dinner table. I mean, this is really...
Oh, we will be, guaranteed, but not the way he wants it discussed.
Well, I think he was off on the holiday. I think he meant Halloween dinner, not Thanksgiving, because it is scary. But, you know, something the two of you said that kind of concerns me a little bit is, you know, you were saying, Clay, that there could be retribution against companies that are deciding to cut back on employees under 50?
Cut back on hours, correct.
Or cutting back on hours? What kind of retribution can there be?
Well, we don't know yet what that would be, but they could get fines, additional fines. They may be required to cover those employees. They may be required to pay the $2,000 or $3,000 penalty.
You know, that's part of the scary thing about this is that this law is evolving because, it was 2,400 pages and now it's 24,000 pages?
I mean, those are the regs. The law, the bill. The law is about, depending on the font size you printed out, 2,400 to 2,700 pages. But the regs, you know, are 24,000 pages and growing. I don't know if you saw Mitch McConnell several months ago had sort of a stack of how many pages in the regs. I mean, and there will be more. And as you just said about the hours of work, I know a number of people in the service sector who have, you know, companies like restaurant companies that, you know, have maybe 300 to 400 employees, but they're thinking about how can we move a lot of these people to fewer, say 26, 27 hours a week. But they are, as you say, they're very worried about will the government come back at them and say, well, you just did this as a way to avoid that $2,000 or $3,000 per employee penalty and pushing people into
and you'll also see
people into the exchange.
And you'll see employees actually filing lawsuits against the employer for doing that. That's the other problem that's going to crop up. Everybody wants to make money, and they want to find it the easiest way.
Right, and you know, it's interesting that the contraception mandate case has made its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. But the case that I'm watching very closely is the Oklahoma case, Attorney General Scott Pruitt's case,
right,
where they say that the employer mandate is actually illegal, and the fact that because in the law there was no mention of a federal government exchange where the people who are eligible for subsidies from the federal government would be in the healthcare.gov to get a subsidy. And so those are two important parts, and I really hope that Oklahoma case makes its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, because if it does, and if it's overturned, then this is really going to be a way to put the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, i.e. Obamacare, into a downward death spiral.
I think it's already in it.
Yeah, I think so too. Our guest by phone, Sally Pipes, president of the Pacific Research Institute and author of Truth About Obamacare. So, Sally, that was leading into my next question for both of you. I mean, Congress isn't going to be able to kill this thing. Do you think the courts ultimately will kill Obamacare just by nature of the fact that it's really illegal?
I don't think so from Clay's perspective.
Really? What about you, Sally?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think, but with all the things that are happening, I think we are seeing implosion. I mean, I think some of the things that may happen early next year, repeal of IPEP, repeal of the medical device tax. Some of these things have a tremendous Democratic support as well, and I think we may see some repeal of those things. But really, nothing can happen like major repeal of the whole law until early 2017, which would be after the 2016 presidential election, because if the Republicans take the presidency, keep the House, take the Senate, then if there's a strong president, then it could be repealed and replaced. But for the time being, even if the Republicans keep the House and take the Senate in 2014, the president is still the president and has veto power over any changes to Obamacare. And it is, as everyone knows, it is his signature issue, and he's committed to it. And he wants that to be on his tombstone. I did Obamacare, and even though people are upset with it, that is his major thing. And as we have said many times before, I think he ultimately is looking at a single-payer Medicare for all system. I think what they really want is for the exchanges to fail, because the insurance companies, I think in many cases that are in these exchanges, are going to have a hard time surviving, because it's not about the exchange, the glitches, the web glitches. It's about the fact that we talked about earlier, that young people aren't signing up. And if you have the majority of people signing up for either Covered California, for example, or healthcare.gov, if the majority of the people are older and sicker, and you don't have the younger people to be part of that pool, insurance companies, I think, are not going to be able to survive. The president will then say, we tried the competitive marketplace, the insurers are not, participating, and therefore we need to go to a government-run system. And that is my long-term worry about this whole thing.
He's already stated that was his goal many years ago.
Right, and Harry Reid, too.
Yeah. The other issue is, and I'm having with a lot of clients that are going into the exchange, individual clients, they're being forced into Medi-Cal, and they don't want Medi-Cal. And so this is another strategy that they're using to move people into a federally qualified program, which you just touched on.
Right. Yes.
So I want to go back to grandfather plans for a second, and the hours, the 30 hours. One of the strategies that I've been using with my service groups is to tell them not to reduce hours on people you currently have employed, but for new employees that are coming on, you only hire them for 20 hours, because when they do the full-time equivalent calculation, if you're doing 25 or 27 hours, they're almost a full-time employee. So I tell them to hire them at 20 and then go across the street to their competitor and have that competitor hire them for 20. And that seems to be a strategy that's going to be working a little bit.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, it's just so frustrating. But I think we're seeing in some of the poll numbers coming out. The recent poll came out showing that a lot of employees who have employer-based coverage, they're not eligible for subsidies, even if they were kicked off their employer coverage. They are very concerned about premium increases and higher deductibles and what's going to happen to them. So this is, I think, some of them, a lot of them, they're bipartisan. Some will be Republicans, some will be Democrats, some will be independents. But when it comes to their pocketbook and their health, they are very concerned about this. And I think it's going to show up, I believe, in the elections of next November.
When we come back from the break, Sally, I want to talk to you a little bit about single payer, because I know that's a phrase we throw around, but I'd like you to explain that to our listeners. We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.